They lived together.
They took turns.
Say he would take the meat from the centaurs and be like, no, humans can't ride me.
After we butterbeers though?
Alright, so friendship.
Alright, glad we answered the most important question.
I'm done.
What are your opinions of the Marauders in general?
Wow. You first.
Sorry.
I actually think that they're not especially interesting characters.
Outside of.
Or I should say, I think that the characters of James and Sirius, especially, are kind of given a lot more honor than they should have been. And I appreciate what I appreciate what Rowling did in that. I like that she built up. Oh, Harry's this carbon copy of James, and then he found out that, oh well, my dad was a teenager. He was kind of a dick, which, I mean, you know, teenagers mostly are. I thought it was a really nice touch that it turns out Harry takes after his mother, but looks just like his father. But I don't know. I thought Lupin was a really interesting character, and so was Peter. But I think that they are made out to be a lot more interesting than they are.
Jen?
Okay, so I actually, opposite people, I find them fascinating. I'm actually kind of more interested in the ladies on the side than Harry, except for the parallels where Harry gets to have the moments of like, but you don't get to use being young as a big excuse. And the Marauders got to grow up being young as children should.
Please let me know, please.
Okay, they were dicks. Okay, but they're so interesting. It's one of those things you kind of look at as you get older, and you're like, oh guys, but then they didn't really have the chance to. So I think they're endlessly fascinating and deeply, deeply flawed.
The Marauders are interesting because I love them as characters, but we don't really get that much of them. Everyone talks about them, we love them as a group, but we get them in book 3 together, and we get a memory in 6. Like, that's pretty much all we get. That's like, in 5, but that's pretty much all we get. Like, it's not like a overly, like, oh, we get all the ton of them. And I think that's why they're fascinating, because you want to hear their stories. What kind of, how did they make the map? Like, what hijinks did they get into if Fred and George only caught up to them? Like, what? Yeah, like, that's what I want to know. Like, what are they? Like, what were they? Like, I want to know the rumors, like everything.
I actually think kind of the opposite, because I feel like despite the fact we don't get a lot of them, we kind of understand them all very similarly. Like, I see a lot of takes online, and I'm always like, yeah, I'm totally on board with that. So I think it was fascinating that we like see so little of them, but we have such like a brought out idea of who they were and how they were almost, that almost is like this kind of product of groupthink and like a little canon, but we all, I mean, at least that I've seen, kind of agree on it. And if you guys have never read Forever Alive by Mordred, it's a great fic, and like Harry Potter length is amazing. It's a sequel for the Marauders. I would highly recommend it. Forever Alive. It's a done fic, right? It reads like a Harry Potter book. It's really amazing.
I was kind of always struck by the loyalty that the Marauders showed each other. That it wasn't just like, let's
75%.
let's be jerks. They were like, oh hey, one of our friends is a werewolf, so we're going to go through this grueling process of becoming animagus so that we can take care of him. Like that was kind of going above and beyond. Like on a job application, that's where you say, like, this is an example of where I went above and beyond.
That's what you put in your college ad.
Yeah,
Like, here, I show initiative, and I label with us.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Oh, all right, sorry. Last one.
I agree with the loyalty part because for as much he is James as being a dick, he is actually very loyal to Sirius. I mean, when Sirius' parents kicked him out, he's like, you can stay with me, without even thinking it twice. And not many people would do that for someone.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. So that's actually a really good jumping off point. one of the things that Rowling does really, really well in the books is sort of portray friendship. I feel like, other than the magic, that's one of the best things that sort of brings us in. Is, you know, we all want friends like Harry, Ron, and Hermione. So in her portrayal of the Marauders' friendship, sort of, what was she going for? What do you think she was trying to say? Because, yeah, not all 15-year-olds would become anime for their friends.
I thought from a literary perspective, their friendship did a great job of showing unreliable narrators, and that when Harry would believe everything that they told him about, oh well, it was like this, it was like this, and then he learned that it wasn't. It was sort of like, well, just because I mean, the fact that none of them thought it was worthy to mention that Lily and Snape were like close friends and whatnot, that they didn't see it relevant, I think was interesting. I mean, it could be, a little awful or whatever, but I thought it was a great example of and I don't want to make it sound like I don't like the Marauders, I do. I just think
Sorry, okay.
No, I know, it sounds like I am, but I'm just talking about it from
I want to pull that thread just ever so briefly. Do you think the decision to not tell Harry about Lily and Snape's friendship has an in-universe reason, or just because of plot?
I think it very easily fits into the universe reason because they all, for flawed or non-flawed reasons, they hated Snape.
Yeah.
And so, what reason would they have to tell Harry, like, oh yeah, this guy's a dick, he's awful, we hate him, but like, he and your mom were friends. Like, I think when he got older, there could have been a world in which the narrative was, oh yeah, Snape totally shit your mom and told me horrible things and whatever, but, they're not going to tell an 11-year-old child that regardless. So I don't know that there would have been a reason for them to ever say anything in character for the Marauders to say anything positive about Snape, including.
The only time it sort of came up is right after Dumbledore gets killed, when Harry's like, yeah, if Snape hated my mom, she didn't think he was worth a damn either. And Lupin is sitting right there, but he just sort of, doesn't volunteer any more information. And, I mean,
want to make Snape look good.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that.
He's also in a very weird headspace.
I mean, even when Voldemort chooses Harry instead of Neville to be the chosen one, right? The Snape, either way, he liked the cards. I mean, if it wasn't Harry, the one who was related to the freaking prophecy, he will still be a deputy, He maybe didn't go to play sideways, but he was gonna be interested in the same stuff. So he's not gonna change his mind.
Okay, good. We're not talking about Snape.
I
see where this is going.
Bro and Sonia.
And then.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about.
Snape is probably gonna be 2 meetups.
No. It's not about Snape. It's just Snape is relevant. Snape is not kind to Harry, so there's no reason for them to tell Harry that him and his mother are friends, because Harry is messed up about his parents' death enough already as it is, without wondering why, this guy who's being an asshole to him, he's 11, he's not ready for that, and he does find out with time when he is. And I don't think it's completely fair to say that everything they tell Harry about the Marauders is false. It's true after a time. Okay.
Well, and
I
also,
didn't mean to.
Harry's the kind of kid who,
It
if
just
told
sounded
his
like-
friends, would absolutely throw that in Snape's face. Like, the minute Dumbledore tells him, it's like, yeah, well, your father saved Snape's life. Literally, 16 months later, Harry's like, I know that my father saved your life. And then, you think you know.
Oh God, can you imagine if he's from Lily and his face in potions class or something?
Exactly. So, knowing his character. Okay. Any...
Wait, it was
Sorry.
Just back to the original question. I always found their friendship as a really interesting example of the found family. Except for James, these 3 boys who have their own issues, some really horrible, and them coming together and this deep friendship is because this is what they have, and this is it for them. So this becomes their family. And then, of course, what happens when you have a bunch of teenage boys in a boarding school with magic and brilliance, the shenanigans.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if Snape's affection for Lily was actually part of the reason that the Marauders became so close with each other because there could have been like jealousy issues going on, and like I remember myself at that age, and like I don't even know why I hated some of the people I hated, but the fact that other people hated them made me their best friend. And then I kind of like forgot about like the actual reason why we didn't like someone, and we just were like, we're best friends, and you're not part of us, haha. And I kind of get that sense that it was like this, we're on the inside and you're not. And that gets
Another thing with James and Sirius, their hate for Snape could also be explained in some ways. Like, to James, Snape was around for the girl he wanted, so that's fairly easy to understand. Like, he liked Lily, Snape liked Lily. So you know how teenagers are when someone else likes the person they like. And with Sirius, Snape was probably everything he hated about his family. That way.
I don't agree with that because Snape isn't a very good mirror for Sirius.
No, I mean he was everything Sirius. Snape seemed like everything Sirius hated about being in the black family. That's what I meant.
But
He
Snape
basically
doesn't
represented
come from a good pure blood family. He doesn't have the pedigree. Like he's sort of the outcast.
But he hung around with the people that did, like Lucius Malfoy and everyone else.
Like if anything, that would make Snape a better mirror for pedigree.
Okay. So, I just had two things. One with the whole friendship of Marauders thing. I know everyone likes to call James an open classroom and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, these three other boys found themselves through Francis Wolfhard and the Marauders. He's the one with the biggest heart by far. He spent his money taking care of Lupin. He was like the open his rose for Sirius. He mirrors Ron, technically, or Harry. And the other thing is, even if it has particles that Ron was like of the blacks or the ancient heroes like the Kinglays and mixed with the dark arts and stuff, the James didn't care. So that's one for the friendship aspect. And the second part is, when it comes to Harry and taking after his father, I think that a big thing about with the Marauders and how they look at Snape is we see it with Harry and Draco Malfoy, the way he looks at all the Slytherins, just because it's just the way J.K. Rowling has written the Gryffindor versus the Slytherins, and we know it's not going to translate and change into the previous generation where why would they change and go, oh, Snape and all of his deputy cronies are different. And also Harry looks like James. It's really awkward to tell your best friend's son, hey, this guy who really wanted your mom, he was pretty cool. No, it's fine. Best friend's doppelganger son and tell him that.
See, this is why we need stickers for comments like that.
I will.
Is my life.
I will look into the banana sticker system.
Well, I second that. And also, I think it's interesting to talk about, I feel like Peter kind of has this reputation of he was like, he was the weasel, like, no, he was picked on, like, the Marauders didn't like him that much, but I do disagree, like, you see that they include him, they were shocked by his betrayal, like, they were friends, and I think that was the Marauders good side, that they were like, no, like, it was a little awkward, but they still, like, were
kept his life. That's everything right there.
That's for the young men.
And then I need do we think anti-werewolf prejudice back in their friendship as teenagers and that factor into why Sirius and friends just fuck each other? Mustard, right? After Lily and James died. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
Did anti-werewolf prejudice factor into their friendship at all as teenagers? And if so, do you think that's why Lupin and Sirius fuck each other?
Caitlin, and then
I don't know that it would. I'm gonna answer part two and then part one. I don't think that it affected discussion because I don't think after all of that time, his Sirius would have had any thought that's like, oh, he's a werewolf. That's probably why. Like, I don't think that that was a reason for him to suspect him. That said, I think that the anti-werewolf prejudice probably factored into the friendship inversely. Like, they, you know, this was their friend, this was someone that they loved, someone they cared about, and they knew that the rest of the world did not see him that way. They knew the rest of the world was against him as a werewolf. And I feel like that would have made them, not necessarily closer, but they would have felt even more cause to immediately defend him, to immediately close ranks and make sure that Lupin was okay, because they knew the rest of the world was going to see him a certain way. So I feel like it would have made them even more defensive of him as a person than it would have been otherwise.
True, but given hindsight is 2020, why on earth would you suspect Lupin over Pettigrew if you're serious?
Because I don't think
I think that I forget which one of you said it, maybe both of you, that I think that they considered Pettigrew to be a full friend. I don't think that he was like a tag along, but I don't know that they really put a lot of stock in his magical ability, and I mean they said that. That's why they picked Peter Pettigrew to be the secret keeper, because they didn't think Voldemort would ever have an interest in him or consider him to be the one that, so I think they underestimated it as well. That like, oh, well, it couldn't have been Peter because like he's Peter.
Well done.
John let's see. Corva and then
Gabriella.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Gabriella.
Corva, Gabriella, Rowe, Pablo.
Behind you.
Oh, Jesus, sorry, I didn't saw you. All right.
I'm glad. I just want to follow up a couple things in your comment. Yeah, so that makes sense, right? I think it's true. Like they had a mission, sort of like as a group of friends. Their mission was to protect Lupin, basically. So it's like because they had a shared mission, like there was like that was like part of their friendship is like an important thing. The other thing is you just made me think. Peter Pettigrew. You're saying he's sort of like Fredo Corleone, right? He's the brother, right, who's passed over, who they didn't think was could really do anything, and then they're shocked when he decides I'm going to go in with a rival family or whatever. So yeah, it's true. That's all I have to say.
I think it seems that both Sirius and Lupin, they were both very strong and powerful wizards and very smart guys. So they probably thought Voldemort would use their skill more than Pettigrew, who they saw as kind of like weak and cowardly and not really willing to do anything. So in a sense, I think they figured probably because they were stronger and more apt to be used by Voldemort in a sense.
Yeah, I think basically the same. They just saw each other as people. They saw Peter as lesser. Basically, they do have like vanity issues, clearly, especially Sirius does, and like Lupin definitely probably would have looked at Sirius, looked at Peter, and been like, all right, well, who do you think is gonna like go after power and like be a bad guy or whatever? And like I think if anything, like it worked inversely because they only saw each other as the possible threats instead of being Peter at all.
I may be missing something, but I know that Sirius was in question by Lupin, but at what point was Lupin in question for being a suspect?
In the third book, they asked if he was going to leave and change back and forth.
Was that book or book?
Like, Sirius suspects Lupin of having betrayed.
Well, Lupin asks, why didn't you tell me about the secret to the switch unless you suspected me? And then Sirius responds, yeah, forgive me, old friend.
They each side of the
Yeah.
Sonia?
You were saying about like Pettigrew's not his natural ability isn't as effective as the rest. I mean, if you look at an anime.
Can you speak up, please? I can't.
15, but it's also stated that they had to help him the whole way.
That's still an incredibly hard thing to do. I mean, needing guidance for something doesn't mean that.
But they also have this self to choose from.
Oh, of course, but I mean, I would say that there's a difference between being weak and being meek. I think he was more meek, and so they thought that. I mean, they obviously saw that. Okay, he can do this. He has magical abilities. It's as powerful as the rest of us. Maybe it was a little bit more latent. Needed to be worked out a bit more. But I don't know. I think that they thought that he was the safest one to keep a secret because again, he was the most meek and what they thought translated to being loyal.
Keep in mind that. Oh, sorry. Keep in mind that when we say weak, it's coming from a Gryffindor protagonist written by a Gryffindor writer.
Yeah.
So, just there's that lens.
Which is an unreliable narrator.
But I happen to agree. The Marauders, there's a certain kind of group dynamic where people who are in groups sometimes need someone to look down on.
That's all.
No, I didn't want to bring that part up, but yeah, every group has a Karen. But it's a truth in psychology, and he was that, and he could have been. And it becomes a feedback loop because they joke about his weakness, his inferiority, and he then thinks he's like that, and he might be incredibly powerful, but doesn't. A comment or food?
No.
Oh.
Comments over there.
Okay. Yeah.
Like whether he was objectively weak, they would have seen him as such.
Yeah, regardless. I'm not sure.
Sorry, I don't even know if Peter was actually like protected by the Marauders or if Peter decided that way through Harry's description. The way I I saw it was, it's really simple for prompts where he's saying, okay, who's the obvious candidate who one would suspect would be my secret keeper? Tag to obvious, he's gives up like, okay. Peter, who has this serious condition, who has to take pills to stay alive and not be in pain constantly, versus Peter who doesn't have this health issue. If I were prompts, I would easily pick Peter in that sense. To me, it seems like it was really an easy decision. Where it's, I need to save my best friend, I need to save my other best friend, so it's you. And it's not really like I'm looking down at you for being weak. It's more I see you all as equals. You two have two things that need to be targets. Peter, you don't have something that needs to be a target. And I think it's interesting that it happens with Harry and Ron, where Ron is kind of a mirror of Peter and his generation, but yet Ron is the one thing Harry Potter misses the most. Like we see it play out again in the first way.
Alright, so moving on a bit. When Harry stumbles upon Sirius's bedroom in Deathly Hallows and sees the photo of the Marauders, he's looking at the Marauders and filling in the gaps as only Harry does. And his assessment is that Lupin and Pettigrew are just like honored to be there, that they're like thrilled at being included in this coolest of gangs. So, how much do we agree with Harry's assessment of that dynamic?
I think, especially with regards to Lupin, that like if it was kind of like, oh, they're tag-alongs, they would never have become like themselves. They would be coming in and like that young. Like it's an incredibly difficult thing to do as like teenagers. If it was really just like the friend who tags along and we let them because like we feel sorry for them.
Well, it's a different question. Harry isn't thinking that James and Sirius are looking down on Lupin and Pettigrew. They just think that Lupin and Pettigrew are just like, oh my god, they like us.
I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to push back on what you said a little bit and agree more with what Irvin said, because Lupin himself says that he was grateful that they would even be his friend as he was a werewolf. So like, you know, Harry is reading into it a little bit in terms of the actual like pose, the actual facial expressions, whatever it is, but at the same time Lupin had conceded that that was something that he was, you know, that he would like when he would sit and not do anything as a prefect, you know, he's, you know, obviously he's wanting to get into shenanigans too, but part of that was also he didn't want to like, you know, be mean to them because they were his friends and he was really grateful to have someone who was willing to look past like his werewolf, like his lycanthropy. So I mean I think there's a kind of a middle ground here where he doesn't have to be like just so grateful and happy that they're willing to be friends with him, but there was definitely an element of that in his attitude towards them. Or even the three of them. I guess that's one point where basically like it wasn't just James Sirius, it was he was grateful that the three of them were willing to be his friends with his lycanthropy. So
Agreed. Steven?
I didn't have anything.
Oh, no, I was pretty much gonna say the same thing because like even the magical photos, they kind of take a little bit of that essence when there's photos taken, like when Harry's trying to pull his way away from, Gilderoy, right? So like that's not the picture, but that's what's seen there. And like as you were saying, like Lupin was proud. He's like, yeah, I was a werewolf and these were my friends. I'm so happy that I have my friends, right? So that's how it would have came up in the photo as well. At least,
I think part of that is the vibe that Sirius and James would give off. Like, they're both cocky people, so of course in their photograph they're gonna look like, I totally belong here. Like, like, this is obviously everything I deserve in life. And that might not necessarily be how they actually feel on the inside. I think especially Sirius would also be very grateful to have this group of friends and to have found his found family in a way, like he found somewhere he belonged when he didn't feel like he belonged with his own family. And James probably enjoyed that group of friends. He might not have been coming from a place where he wasn't expecting to have that, so maybe he didn't take it for granted. But I think it's mostly their personalities that Harry is kind of picking up on and seeing the others in contact with that.
Sonia in the row?
I mean, hindsight is 20/20. It's really, really easy to say after something has happened to look back and say, oh, you know, I should have seen it all along because, oh, that could stand out, that could stand out, that could stand out. And then it's like, sometimes you only know something is going to happen James wants to find patterns to justify things somehow. So I think that I think that's what Harry was doing, is that he had a conclusion in his head and he wanted to find things that were leading up to it.
Harry's kind of notorious for that.
I think that's not the only time in the books it happens, but
He hasn't jumped to conclusions now.
Yeah, I think I agree that they all work really well together because they all kind of needed each other in equitable but different ways that mattered to themselves. Like Stephen clearly needed these people to accept him for who he was, and maybe at first he didn't feel as included, but over time I think that followed out. And like Peter needed a gang, and James, to defend James for a second, like had really elderly parents, and he was an only child, so he probably didn't have much companionship like at home in the room. So he needed like brothers, and Sirius really needed a family. So I think they were all happy together.
You don't have a
No.
I don't mean to be a stickler, but I think that the whole happy to be included line, referring to Dust Peter, when he got to like Lupin, he said something like he already looked a little worn, but was still smiling, or something like that. I don't know the exact line. 'Cause I don't think that.
Oh yeah, don't mess with these two.
No, I mean, not by heart, but I definitely remember that he said he lumped them together, that they're both just happy to be included in the list of games.
Oh, okay.
Delighted surprise to find himself included in such a group.
Oh wow, so what's, yeah.
Wait, what? Delighted surprise to be included in such a group for both of them. For Lupin, yes, that was Peter was like.
Margaret?
I'm gonna ask him.
Harry is overhearing something in Hogsmeade in his invisibility cloak, where they're talking about Sirius being Harry's godfather, and they say something like, "Don't you remember Peter Pettigrew?" And they're like, "Who?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, like that fat little kid that used to follow them around like trash talking."
Yes.
And this is from an outsider's point of view, characterizing.
Right.
I did.
Oh,
That and
good call.
Alright, moving on from friendship, the prank. Did the Marauders
Everyone
get
take
it
off your
off
earrings.
easy on this prank? Did they get off easy on this prank?
Do you remind us what your time was?
Nothing.
None.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Hogwarts. They don't do.
And that wasn't even Dumbledore as headmaster.
No, that was.
Oh, okay.
That was.
Explain.
Just a little context. Remind us of the story.
Sure. So.
For those people who have not read the book.
Sure.
No one's
Pay
judging.
attention. I'm trying to.
In the Marauders' 5th year, Sirius decided to play a very amusing prank on Snape by telling him that if he went through the tunnel below the Weeping Willow, he would then find something out. Snape did so and got a glimpse of Lupin as a werewolf. James got cold feet at the last second and sort of yanked him out of there, just as he saw the werewolf. We don't know of any consequence for the Marauders. There could have been some, but apparently they're not significant enough to merit a mention. Snape was told, to never ever speak of it to anyone. Leading to a lot of Snape's bitterness.
Wait, who played the prank? Was it Sirius?
It was Sirius,
right?
Yes.
James that went along with
And
it?
the book is
or-
that James didn't know about it.
Well, okay.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. I forgot.
According to Snape, when James found, James only got cold feet at the last second to save his own skin. According to Lupin, as soon as James found out, he was like, yeah! and put a stop to them right away. So, on the balance of who's the more reliable narrator, Snape or Lupin, I tend to go towards Lupin,
Yeah.
but again, it's unreliable all around.
I think, I think that they probably should have got more than a stern talking to because they did know it, well, they being serious in this case, assuming we're going with Lupin's version of the story, did knowingly put Snape's life in danger. That said, I think that Sirius has been characterized in a lot of ways as being the more rash, as acting without necessarily thinking. And I don't think that he really, I don't think that he actually thought through this could potentially endanger Snape's life. I don't think he was trying to get Snape killed. Not necessarily because he cares so much about Snape, but because he did care about Lupin. And Lupin waking up the next morning and realizing he had killed someone would have destroyed him. And I don't think if Sirius had really actually had intentions and actually have thought it through, would ever have done that, not for Snape's protection, but for his friends. And so I think that's probably, once James found out, I do believe that James would have jumped in. Again, not necessarily so much that he cared about Snape, besides maybe some kind of like lingering morality that we shouldn't kill somebody. But I think his first thought was probably, oh my god, it's this is gonna destroy Remus.
Yes.
And so I don't think that was, I don't think they were intending to kill Snape because I don't think that he thought it that far through.
Sonia, then Ro, and then I want to say
I think that prank definitely showed that Sirius has a reckless side, that insanely reckless side, that I don't know, you can say that maybe it's just always a part of him, it's just his temperament, or that Azkaban stunted and he just had that reckless side his entire life. But I cannot imagine at that age telling someone, hey, go throw yourself into this wood chipper or something like that. I mean, it's like, that's a really, really serious thing to do. It's not funny.
Have you?
Well, actually, here's an example, actually, because I think J.K. Rowling said that werewolves were supposed to be a comparison to like HIV positive people, telling someone, hey, have unprotected sex with this HIV person, it'll be funny, you'll be fine, sort of thing. I know that's stretching it too, but it's just the kind of thing that the consequences are so dire. You can't say like, oh, he was young, he didn't know better. It's too big of a.
Okay, remind me, did we get any kind of like motive, like why did Sirius say this?
Snape was annoying, following him around, pissing me off.
Yeah. Snape suspected that Lupin was a werewolf because Snape is brilliant, whatever else he may be. So he kept, trying to find out what they were up to, and then Sirius is like, you really want to know?
I can see Sirius doing that. But
True,
like as a
true.
snap, right? Like it was like the last straw, one more thing about, one more crack about Remus.
But he never shows remorse.
I think
Well,
it
of course
was
he
like,
wouldn't show remorse because he's a Gryffindor and he's like, eh.
I think it was like the fact that he was, I think it was, if anything, a misplaced like attempt to protect Remus, which sounds messed up, but it was like Snape, like, he just wanted to shut Snape up about Remus, and like for whatever reason, this is the only way, or like an anger, an impulsiveness, obviously, where he was like, I'm just going to shut you up, you're not going to talk about him again after this, which clearly was not like rational thinking, but it was like serious thinking.
I mean, that's true. If Sirius were a character on a primetime TV show, he would get Snape eaten by a werewolf to shut him up. Like,
right, which was, I don't know if he intended like murder, but he wanted Snape to stop talking about Remus, and that's, in my opinion, why he sent Snape to Remus, not because he just hated Snape.
we can also assume that Sirius showed some remorse, at least towards Lupin, because they are still friends.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would have been a touchy subject for them.
What blows my mind, and I think I'm kind of agreeing with a lot of things that other people have said, is that Sirius didn't goddamn learn. It's just like, this is a major thing you almost screwed up here. And then, never mind Azkaban, and yes, probably stunted him and he never got a chance to grow up. But he just doesn't goddamn learn. And it's like, this is sort of a learning moment.
He doesn't try to feed anyone else.
How do you mean?
Well, he's just endlessly reckless with no regard for outcome or causality, and like, just he doesn't think about the potential
You think
result of his
him
actions.
going to the Department of Mysteries was
Oh yeah.
reckless?
Oh, completely.
That and going to play 9 3/4.
Hold on. So sorry, Pablo, Shaq, and then yeah. Marlene.
So I'm gonna either chalk it up to like Dumbledore's Hogwarts, or just like what wizards consider dangerous. Because I mean, if you say,
oh, that's a good one. What do wizards consider dangerous?
I'm saying like, okay, like Lupin or I mean Sirius was being reckless by like doing this prank, but like, you know, Dumbledore sent these kids into the Forbidden Forest. So where do you draw the line? Yeah.
Way back in time,
we had a dog in the school.
Health and safety, you know?
They probably
didn't know about it.
Well, right, but no, I'm not Dumbledore, but they probably didn't realize, well, okay, 15-year-old brain, but like, he probably didn't, in a way, he probably considered him to be less dangerous than he was, because they were hanging out with him all the time, and it was fine. Like, he didn't have in his brain, oh my god, this is a dangerous werewolf. He had in his brain, this is this wolf that, you know, we go hang out with. In a certain extent.
Yeah,
like, I'm not saying he didn't know he was a werewolf, but like, there's a little bit of...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was always joking about the fluffy shit.
Alright, so the question specifically says, is the judgment fair? Did they get off too lightly? And I want to look at this from a legal perspective. Let's think about this. So the defendant is Sirius. The plaintiff is Snape. So the case is that Sirius played this prank, and he said, what exactly were his intentions? Was he trying to kill Snape? Was he just trying to like scare him? Like maybe he wanted Remus to maul him a bit, just a bit, or like was he trying to get a serious infected with like the Wolverine curse? Infected with the Wolverine curse. Like what exactly were his intentions? So I think you have to look at other cases in the series. Like when something like this happened, when someone tried to murder someone else, I think. When Harry cast that Sectum Sempra curse at Malfoy, what was the consequences of that?
Detention.
Pretty much.
Detention?
Correct.
So I think that's probably something that similar happened to Sirius, because Sirius was punished for the consequences, not exactly for what could have happened, because essentially like James stopped it.
But that punishment was meted out by Snape, not by Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's true. So I think that it was a fair punishment because ultimately, like Snape was not injured. Maybe you don't know exactly what Sirius's intentions were, and I think it was fair. Yeah. Legally, I sentenced Snape to detention. I mean, Sirius to detention.
Maybe intentions don't matter in the wizard legal system. Maybe only consequences matter.
I
don't know. I don't know about the Anglo-American system. You know, I don't know about this.
All about wizarding legality.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're gonna take a brief break. So if you want to use the restroom, also it's time to sell raffle tickets.
Yay!
Whatever it was like, what wizard thing is dangerous? I think it goes back in terms of when Godric said, alright, we're gonna make a school, we're gonna put it. We're forest that is full of shit, alright, let's put it into it.
Everybody's like a double door.
It was dangerous anyway. And you can't stop it by not opening the school, because they're still wizards. They're still like, they're doing things to people by accident. I think it was a great thing. Exactly right. Lots of things. Yeah. And it's not just Dumbledore. Last night, oh yeah, the problem is what was like, yeah. It's like, maybe it could be a dangerous one, but then exactly.
Yeah,
you know what? There's no shit. So the kind of rivalry you had in high school is, it's intensified so much. Because there's like between boys and girls, there's like if I really get mad at you, or if I really piss you off, I might be worried that you might beat me up. But now I'm like worried that you might like turn me into a pig or something, or you're gonna cut up my body with immortal knives. He's only Again, it's not a controversial point, but maybe because you don't get to know girls, and then you get to know boys, are much more likely to do things that might get someone killed. I'm just saying, you know, I'm not saying likely, I'm not saying boys are only women, girls are try to fight to the death, but it wasn't a movement trying to humiliate someone. It wasn't a role where they were doing anything. It was a dark matter on the body, it wasn't getting going. If anyone, I make my students extreme that had the more extreme water and the middle they were actually now one of my rarely do. Your girls are murdering kids. Mean Girls today. There's a horrible case of their friend in the forest up in the road. It's happened in the road. Brownie?
Anyone have brownie?
It might be there.
Like, whether
Giant chocolate cake?
I could totally see him saying, let's see how he feels in a werewolf attack. You know, I could totally see that. I don't find it surprising at all. I think if I really hated someone when I was a teenager, and I could see a werewolf on it, I probably would. But I wouldn't now, but I'm a long older now, so it's
I'll show you up and then
it wasn't quite a moment in the Western world. I mean, it was only one match, but one man had awards to kill Dumbledore. Picking out whatever you want. He was like, all right, where's the most amount of matches right now? And Hogwarts.
God. Oh my God. It's the only thing she ordered.
Oh yeah, his character is relatable, but also I don't find the whole idea shocking in general. Like I don't think that Sirius is so unusual. He is unusual and being very reckless. There are probably a number of other characters who would do that too. I mean, in episode 16, he wasn't even exactly. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Like, yep, there's a rebel captain. We could totally see him doing that. It's not like side. Right, exactly. Right. Like it's staying there, it's too late to be killed. Because they know his name is already, you know. And the thing, they were in fifth grade. And they have a new Snape knew more than anyone. So I don't think he was worried about the friends and stuff. But he knew that this was shit. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Snape himself? People forget that Snape was a scientist. Right, exactly. He invented that whole potion. Yeah. People forget that about Snape. They think Snape is just, they don't understand Snape is like actually one of the only wizards. That's what will make Snape seems in his character. The fact that Voldemort died, and all the blood about Snape, like he came out. He was still going to choose the dark side. Yeah, if Dumbledore chooses Nebula instead of Harry, right? He played Voldemort. He was not going to play for Dumbledore because he got no reason. Oh, I see. It's because of Lily. Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
Last call for cash.
Right here.
Okay. How many? It's one for $2, 3 for $5, and 20 for 20. Sorry? 3? Okay.
It's also great. I don't know. I haven't seen it. It's like some 1950 movie, but I haven't really seen it. But you know, the bad, the person on the dark side stuff, but he's in love with this girl who's good, who's so good. She's an angel. She's a beautiful angel. And then he never thinks that him being running with the evil people is gonna affect his beautiful angel. You know? It's like that kind of dynamic. Yeah, okay, right. I was trying to really good at that. Right. Yeah, he warned you. I knew you were going to say. You knew you were going to say, so winning. Exactly right. He never thinks about that because they're separate things. One is like his political allegiances, the other one is his love. See? And so he doesn't think there. It makes sense. It makes sense.
One for 2, 3 for 5.
I'm not gonna get any because I want that.
Yeah, so now that we've done sort of all around Marauders, we're going to zero in on each one.
Awesome. Alright. What do we think happened to Lupin after James and Lily died?
One more time.
Well, I mean, he became homeless.
What do you think became of Lupin after James and Lily died? What were your thoughts on that?
Francisco Marlena.
So like pretty much, he lost his complete support system and thinks that one of his support system betrayed his best friend. So he's not doing well. And then he always has this self-doubt about because he's a werewolf. He would have went underground. I have no idea where he not good. Not good at any.
Marlena.
Oh, I was saying, I agree with that. He also thought that, like, the friend who betrayed his friend killed another one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he did, like, he lost his entire support system, and, like, based on, like, what we know about living, it would have been incredibly difficult for him to find a job and support himself, so he's probably, like, homeless, working, maybe muggle jobs if he could get them, but probably losing those because he had to miss work because he was a werewolf. And
so his life would have been like a Steinbeck novel.
Yeah. I just imagine it was like a lot of like very lonely, very impoverished, and I think that like when he got the teaching job at Hogwarts, that was like probably the first good break he got is really tired.
Just to clarify, werewolves could get jobs before Umbridge drafted some legislation right around 94, 95.
But based on their like, I'm not saying that they couldn't. I'm saying based on like the Wizarding World's attitude towards them. If people found out who was a werewolf, would he likely have kept that job? Especially if you're comparing it to like people who had like if you compare lycanthropy to like HIV and AIDS, like people who found out like a lot of people who got that, especially in the beginning, were like LGBT, and when in that time period when people found that out, like they would often get fired.
Jen, Alyosha, sorry, and then Brittany.
I'm gonna go controversial. I subscribe to the probably buyer fan, like thought process.
It's a mini peanut butter cup.
But I imagine that there were a lot of nights where he was just like sleeping in beds with people and like just trying to find love and comfort somewhere. Like he might have question. No, but I think like when you said Steinbeck, and I would go more towards like a sad Oscar Wilde.
Crap, I can actually see that.
Yeah.
The Marauders were the first friends that he had, right? But nowhere did it ever say that those were the only friends he ever had.
It's in
I mean, Lily, but
well, the whole thing is that at Hogwarts, they were thick as thieves, essentially.
Right.
And when you're in a group like that, generally there might be other Gryffindors, but like they're not watching him turn into a werewolf once a month.
Of course. So he does have this dark secret, but from all the Marauders, he's like in a way, the most relaxed one because his issue actually gets attention. And so his problem is actually being worked through. So he would be in a more healthy position to make more friends, and he might not be completely alone. And we are never inside his head, right? So we can't tell if he has more friends beyond that circle.
Well, I kind of have two things. So one, there's also like the glaring fact that we all know that mental health services are not addressed in the Wizarding world at all.
No, not at all.
And so he's also like having to deal with all of this emotional trauma, and he probably does it really badly, and that will also contribute to the fact that he can't have a job. And then there's also the fact that I think Dumbledore keeps an eye on him in the same way that he keeps an eye on Ron Weasley. In the sense that Ron does not think that Dumbledore knows he exists, but like he's got an eye on him. Not that it'll make a big difference, but I think he'll kind of like every once in a while if he sees he's like really starting to his life.
A little more than say Wayne.
Exactly. He has like Ron level status when it comes to Dumbledore's awareness.
Okay, hold on. I got Ignacio, and then I have Sonia, Shaq, Caitlin.
I can agree with that.
Oh, Ro. Sorry, wait. Ro is out. Actually, squeeze Ro out for Ignacio. Sorry. Raise your hand a little taller. Anyway, sorry.
You told me to put it down.
No, I mean, never mind. Go ahead.
So, I was saying that he was a member of the Order of Phoenix, right? And then I think after Voldemort shows disappeared, the Order stopped doing whatever they were doing. Like, they still have to work, like, finding whoever was on the other side, you know. And I don't think it was like, alright, Voldemort's dead, we're not doing anything, Spotty was No.
It's actually a really good point.
And actually, Lupin was a part of that. So, besides, if you think about it, what I said at the beginning about Lupin, for me, the whole plot about Harry Potter is about Lupin. Because if he were a werewolf, then all the people never, get together and all this stuff. And after a while, if you think about it, Dumbledore was the one who said, alright, yeah, we're gonna arrange it. You can come to Hogwarts. We're gonna find a way to do it. And then he was the one who offered him that job 12 years after that when he's still homeless because he didn't get enough money, So I think the Order will still be doing something for a while after. Like we were talking about like legal stuff and whatever happens after Voldemort disappeared. And maybe when that was done, maybe was like just underground, getting signed, magic for pennies. I don't know.
Oh wow, bro.
Yeah, I think it's important to consider though that like I don't think that the Wolfbane person was a thing yet, right? It wasn't. So while he had his friends with him, his transformations were relatively painless, which allowed him to keep a degree of sanity. Without them, he was back to just fully transforming into a werewolf every however many days. So he's constantly like encountering this like forced trauma all of the time, and now doesn't have anything to combat it and doesn't have anything to quiet it. I also think that makes him feel dangerous again, and probably makes him reclusive from the people who are around him. So I think even if the Order is trying to watch out for him, he's pulling away with all these other things that we've been talking about.
Also, he went to James and the whiskey roll alone.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Who else would he go with?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I agree that Lupin was definitely in a very bad emotional state after the deaths of Lily and James. But I have a more positive view of what he did after that happened. I think that he became like more of a Waldo figure, like he went to the forest to just be around nature. Like being a werewolf isn't all downsides. I think they have like,
I know, right? Yeah, it's great.
They have like heightened senses. I think they have like a better sense of smell.
Yeah.
So maybe I thought that he was just enjoying nature in a forest somewhere. And since like Lupin's kind of I think that he's a sensitive person, Lupin, he didn't want to be around other people in case like he just transformed into a werewolf and hurt them. So I think he secluded himself from other people and just hunted in a forest and chilled with nature.
Nice. Caitlin and who was there? Was there someone else? I got Sonia. Sorry.
My part was actually similar to Nasi's point, is that the Order of the Phoenix did still exist, and I don't know that while it wasn't his like group of best friends, they weren't just gonna like, okay, well your friends are dead, so like fuck off. I don't think that was
I don't want to be with dead friend, dude. He's depressing.
So I don't think he would have been in any way, shape, or form in a good place emotionally or physically, probably not work. But I do think he had some degree of other people around to help him. We also know that Dumbledore in some way kept in touch with him because he was able to find him to offer him the job. So whether or not that was, a constant thing, we don't know, but he had some kind of sense of
Just send it out. They find everyone.
The fact that after, I'm sorry,
How does it know
the
where
fact
to
that
go?
after Dumbledore asked him to infiltrate the werewolf pack and all that stuff, probably he had time to, get to know the rest of the wolves around.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that Lupin's self-esteem and self-worth were so low that I mean, look at how he reacted to Tonks basically like grabbing him and shaking him, saying like, of course I love you, you freaking dumbass. And he's like, no, I don't deserve you, don't come near me. And all of that. It's like, I don't think that he would, and the first friends he had, I mean, look how that ended up, look how that happened. We've already gone into that, we don't have to go into that. I don't think that he necessarily like had people that he considered friends after that happened, because I think it's a combination of his prejudice and that he wasn't comfortable with that idea. Like he couldn't, I think that he didn't really want to have friends because he just thought that he would be bad for them.
Marlena and then Vicky.
One thing, the heightened senses thing, was that I don't think that was ever established in canon, like what werewolves are like out when they're not transformed.
It's loosey goosey.
I'm pretty sure that was like Thanon that kind of just got generally accepted
Well,
based on
Phil
like.
is
She's
changed.
right.
What?
Phil is changed. He
Ish.
talks about
Ish.
yeah, he only goes a little way.
And also Fenrir Greyback, there's some weirdness with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say he has like wolf-like attributes even when he's not wolfed out.
But I'm pretty sure he does
that
That's just him like being hairy and gross.
I think he's mentally messed up. He's a psychopath.
The order is that like
So
what
he's
was
a psychopath.
was he doing when he was doing kind of later, which was like infiltrating these werewolf things? If he was, he probably wasn't having extremely consistent contact with the rest of the Order of the Phoenix, which meant that even if they were all staying in touch, like he was never kind of in that group of like that core group who's always going to be at the meetings and always working together. If he's infiltrating, if he's a spy, working as a spy in another group. So like even if they do exist, and I don't think the Order is like getting paid. Like they're not doing their job.
They're all
It's a
volunteer
resistance
organizations.
group, so like it's not like they may have been people he knew and maybe he could have relied on, but like I don't necessarily think that was like the best thing that's like gonna keep him, like sane or anything at all during those years.
Brittany, I'm sorry, Vicky's gonna be the last one.
Okay. I like to think that he was a global wand for hire, getting kind of that dark experience of how to deal with these different things, just in the way that in education, I know it's so hard to find and do defense against the dark arts teacher, but like my school needs a good chemistry teacher, so if anyone knows anyone, let me know. And we're not so desperate that I would call my friend Joey and be like, hey Joey, when we were 17, you were really good at science, so you should come be a teacher at my school. So if he didn't do that kind of thing in his adult life, that really is how they hired him. You were really good at this when you were a teenager, why don't you come teach it? So I would like to think he has like actual experience.
Again, Dumbledore.
That is
Again,
how
Dumbledore.
he hired defense teachers, because keep in mind, there's been a curse. They've burned through like 42 defense
Lockhart.
That's what I'm hoping. I have. This is my headcanon.
Dumbledore.
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 You know they did hire the useless Lockhart.
Okay, so jumping off the heightened senses thing, I get the impression from Lupin in the books that he is totally illegitimate and is totally reading everyone's mind all the time.
Hold on, I want to say something. I think what you're misinterpreting with that is that Lupin is incredibly Perceptive, whatever, yeah. And in being someone who is essentially he's not, what's the negative of not being full of yourself? Because the reverse of that.
Empty of himself.
Well, I mean, because he's so self-defacing, all he has left is to see everyone else. And that's why he's so pervasive.
Perceptive.
I didn't even drink that. And also, he also has high emotional intelligence. His EQ is he always understands what.
He was a prefect who was a real, head boy.
I don't think that's anything to do with emotional intelligence.
Yeah, James was a head boy, so.
He's, from the very first time you see Lupin, he understands what these kids are going through, what they need to calm down, and I just think that's what you're seeing is that he's not an Gilliman's, he's just perceptive and good at it. Because everyone else is kind of bad at it.
I largely agree, and I'll go with also the fact that he's other, and whether or not we classify him as queer, there were the allusions there. Anytime you have somebody in a situation that is that other, you are looking for things, you are constantly aware of what's going on around you in a way that other people don't have to be. And so Remus has to be aware of the minutia of interactions around him, even if it is just to see if somebody responds oddly to the fact that he's been out for 3 days. Like,
So
if you grow up abused, you start being able to recognize signs of abuse in another person instantly, and that the first way that is manifested is through body language. So you tend to become very, very empathetic, and you just be able to read people's body language very quickly, and then you react to it very quickly as well. So I would say.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't see it before. I don't know. Okay, now it's here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think also that Lupin is incredibly perceptive of other people's emotions. Because if you look at his introduction, his first class that he teaches, Harry in Order of the Phoenix, in Prisoner of Azkaban, where he basically sees Snape picking on Neville, he's like, Neville, you help me. So like right away, he really couldn't pick up on that sign.
There's some really
this kid needs no one needs more self-confidence, so let him do the best job. Give him the part in the class where he knows he can shine.
It's another excellent point. There's really some excellent material with his interactions with Neville. Some really, really excellent stuff.
Yep. I mean, I can say I'm outvoted. I was thinking of the scene in the Shrieking Shack where he sees Sirius and pretty much he's like, what are you,
just find out which one you
oh! And it literally takes him like a second and a half to go through the entire Prisoner of Azkaban climax.
There's something over there that is something that hadn't been solved. It's like, and I think it's something we all think about, like how we know Lupin was able to see Peter on but he wasn't able to see Sirius, right?
He was watching.
Okay, he was watching both. But the question over there is how Fred and George were able to see Peter. So and that's what I think is something really related because they invented, and then I would like to know what's the theory.
Rowling has said like there's a lot of dots on the map, and Fred and George didn't care who was in their brother's bed.
And also like
that was creepy.
They did like an enchantment when Sirius looks at it, he sees almost an animagus. James said he sees it. Snape looks at it, where's James? James is gone.
Yeah, but wait. Snape looks him up and he didn't see Pettigrew over there.
Yeah. No, he didn't, because Snape enchanted it, therefore when they're in animagus, Snape would read it again.
I disagree.
Okay.
The map is supposed to show
everyone,
regardless of
Maybe it's
enchantment.
I mean, it's a lot of conjecture.
And
and
when it insulted Snape when he saw it.
If Max is looking at the map and then Y shows up with the map, then he would see Z and
I mean, if my computer glitches all the time, maybe they thought that was like a glitch.
That's true. It could be a bug. It's true.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be easy to write the code for like a map like that. So there's probably a lot of bugs.
Also, Peter Pettigrew could have been like Seamus's cat, for all they knew. No.
And also, it was teenage programmers who wrote it. So.
Also,
Come
like,
on, I mean, they
to be
don't
fair,
have
Fred and Joyce isn't looking at the Gryffindor dorm. Like, why would they care? Like,
That is true. You're right.
They're
Yeah,
like ways to seek out.
Also, they never really were voyeurs. That wasn't really their thing.
like Rose Filch.
They had more important things to do.
Probably didn't even know who that was.
No, they didn't actually. They even say there was just like hints that they had no idea who the Marauders were.
I mean, no one knows who Peter Pettigrew is. Like, even McGonagall's trying to be forgotten. He's like, oh yeah, that like kid. Like, I remember him on the class roster. Okay.
Yeah. What do we think? Oh, sorry. What do we think of Remus and Tonks' relationship?
Oh no.
Right there.
I mean, I'm Remus and serious.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all agreed that Lupin and Tonks is the worst thing.
Who likes the parrot?
I don't think it's the worst. Yeah, good or bad, I don't really care. Like, I'm not against it. I just don't care.
Sorry. Okay. Just come on. Who wants to defend Remus and Tonks? Yeah, Remus and Tonks. Shaq, you were really the most adamant.
Oh, well, I haven't had time to prepare a defense quite yet. Let the
Coach the bench.
Alright, Caitlin wants to
I'll
defend.
say this after. I mean, I do think that there are contextual clues. That's a whole other whatever. I will say this, I actually adore Tonks as a character.
Yeah.
And I think Tonks deserved better.
Yes.
I love Remus, I love Tonks. I think together was not a good option, and I think both of them deserved better. So it's not that I'm hating on Tonks in any
But
way.
why exactly? I mean, I really don't have strong feelings about this either way.
I mean, if you, like, their entire relationship is her chasing after him and him being like, I guess you're fine. You know, and yes, there's arguments to be made about his low self-esteem and whether or not he felt he was lovable, and, like, that's a fair point. But at the end of the day, Tonks throughout the books, throughout whatever we see up until the point where they die, is, you know, giving him all of this affection and getting a little bit back occasionally.
And it's for the same level of affection he gives everyone else.
Right, and I don't think
Brittany
he
and
didn't
Gabrielle.
care about her, but I just feel like
Well, maybe they would be fine with some relationship counseling. Maybe it isn't that they're wrong.
Oh yeah, but it's just
for each
tons of
other.
that in the Wizarding
They're just
World.
not very good at expressing. He's
It's
not
also
very
fair
good
to
at
say that
expressing.
we're seeing it through
Yeah.
Harry's
Alright, hold on.
eyes, we're not seeing most of their relationship, but,
Okay.
you know.
Brittany, Gabriella, Alyosha, and then Mark.
Well, and there's also the fact that Rowling, she went on record, she was basically giving an interview and she was explaining every death. And she said that the main reason why she killed off Remus and Tonks was because she wanted to bookend it with an orphan. And to basically show that society had improved because Teddy's life is going to be much better than Harry's was. And so it's like, look, we've gotten better because this orphan is happier than us.
Orphans now have it better.
She said, more or less.
She had started Lumos at that point, so orphans.
So many
And so she was, but like when she gets to book 7, she's looking around and how many like eligible potential
Dead parents?
partners exist.
And then the Waynes show up, and then we're all good.
Yeah.
Then we have Batman.
If only. And so it's like she really didn't have very many options. There weren't very many single young people left. So she was like, oh, I guess we'll put Tonks with Lupin. Yeah, that'll be fine. And so that's I think why it doesn't feel, there's not any like emotional impact with it, is because it's something that she wasn't building it up. This wasn't something where it was going this whole way. It was something where she just needed to young people who were not of the same.
To create a baby, yeah.
She needed someone to have a baby.
So Gabriella, Alyosha, and then was it Marlena? Yeah, Marlena, Sonia, Vicky.
Yeah, right. I think I defend them because
No more hands. We're gonna move on.
Yeah. I'm defending them because if you look at Lupin, all he really Lupin was feeling alone after James and Sirius, after everything happened and with his friends, and kind of like, I don't care if you're a werewolf or not, I still love you, and I don't care who you are. That's what I like about him.
I don't even have another choice, right?
She didn't really care. She's like, I still like you even if you turn to a monster. I don't know how many days a month. Like, I still love you.
Cool.
And I like it.
Awesome.
I think the love story Tonks and Lupin is really beautiful, and I don't really get why anyone would think any different. Lupin has a problem. Lupin has a sickness. He's a werewolf, and Tongs. She might have, you could call it a gift, but she's pretty much the only one, apart from her mom, I believe, that can do what she does. So in a way, she's pretty alone. So
She's not presented as unique, just unusual.
Metamorphosis?
Unusual?
Well, I mean, in the book, she's the only character besides her mother that has that.
Yeah. So people don't walk around like Tongs and are able to change how they look, right? So she's an individual in that regard. Just as Lupin is with the werewolf, so that's a connection. And I think it's great that she knows what she wants and she really pursues the guy, so she's a strong woman, and I think that's great. That's true. And just because Lupin, we know about him that he's ashamed because he's older and because he's sick. So he's ashamed. And we're never.
Yeah,
that's like 20 years. Yeah.
Sorry. We're never in a room together with this Tongs and Lupin, so we don't know how passionate Lupin can actually get.
That is for fanfic night. We'll use that as a prompt.
Oh yeah, how much werewolf would packed in bed.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying.
Sorry.
Oh my god. I'm just saying that just because he doesn't like grab her and kiss her and says yes I love you and in front of everyone in the hospital wing or wherever they have their big talk at the end of the court book doesn't mean that he doesn't really love her.
Yeah, but Tonks deserves someone who would do.
Or does he let
Okay. No, wait. It was Marlena, and then Vicky, and then Sonia, and then I'm sorry, Kit.
I don't. Okay, one, I do ship serious, but
Everyone ships serious.
Yeah.
it's not that I dislike their relationship. It's that I just feel like it didn't have any build up. Like it wasn't that I couldn't see them together. It was like that I was given no in-universe reason to like want to see them together or like that to make sense because like I get that they're kind of like living on Harry's periphery and the series is so focused on him, but it's like give us some build up, like. And I understand Harry's like oblivious to 90% of the world. That's just or like Voldemort or whatever. But like that's the main problem I have with it. It's not so much that relationship; it's the fact that we're given no build up or context for it.
Yeah, my issue was just the whole Tonks going from this like awesome, like feminist, powerful character to one who becomes literally droopy over a man. Though, I mean, of course she's the most like Hufflepuffish one to be like, even though you are emotionally stunted, we're both transformative people. We'll find each other. So like, you know, props to Tonks for like sticking to it, but at the same time, Bechdel.
No, so.
Test to
I
test.
think that Tonks' ability is actually a pretty scary one to have because from birth you're given the ability to become whatever you think the person in front of you wants to see. And so I think from that perspective it makes sense that she would be drawn to someone who doesn't feel comfortable in front of anyone because from her perspective it's sort of like, well, I don't know if I've had the opportunity to truly be myself in front of someone either. So I think they make sense, and I like them, and I don't think it's at all feminist for her to be upset over what's happened. I think she invested a lot in it.
Well, I was just I mean, I know other people said that too, and I agree with that. There was no build-up to their relationship, but I was also thinking like, why Lupin even had to be in a relationship. Like, he almost seems like the type of person to just be by himself, like, just someone to grow alone. I know that sounds kind of.
I'm gonna just briefly do that because then we'll move on to another topic. But I think the whole point was to create Teddy.
Yeah.
Literally. It's like it's sort of like as you know, we think of these characters as being real, and we also think of them as being abused by the author. And that relationship was literally a construct to move things along, and it's not fair to the characters necessarily. and it's not necessarily fair to the readers, but then you have Teddy who gets to have a good life. So there's different ways of looking at it if we want to. The level at which we look at literature, there are definitely other ways of looking at it beneath the pages, so to speak.
Yeah, well, just to sort of wrap that up, Rowling never meant to kill Lupin and Tonks. Like, that was not in her original plan.
Yeah, we can blame Arthur for that one.
Yeah. For those who don't know, she was originally going to kill Arthur Weasley and couldn't bring herself to do it, so she instead killed Lupin and Tonks.
Yeah, don't do that to Harry.
You want it? Okay.
But, okay, so, by authorial construct, we have this couple, you know, Tonks is like, we should be together, and everyone's like, yeah, you should totally be together, and Lupin's like, oh, peer pressure, okay. So, then he knocks her up, tries to get the fuck out of Dodge, like, the next day.
That was horrible.
But does Lupin have a point in wanting to join the trio?
Yeah.
Because it seemed like a good idea, like, they could have used an adult.
Yeah, and I think he was just worried that Teddy would be a werewolf like him. I think that scared him too.
So what's the exact question?
The exact question
So he
is,
leaves.
Was Lupin totally in the wrong for wanting to join the trio on their adventure or not?
Yes.
No.
If the question is, was he totally in the wrong? I think the answer was, I think there is a point to the fact that, like, yeah, they could have used some adult supervision, and they wouldn't have ended up camping for like 3 months. But at the same time, I think there was a subconscious desire to just get the hell out of the situation. So I don't think that he was totally in the wrong, but was he doing it for completely pure motives? Absolutely not.
I mean, let's be honest. If Sirius were alive, he would be the same.
Right, but Sirius wasn't running away from a...
He was like...
Also, Sirius could be like 6 kids and like 4 girls.
Maybe there.
2 guys.
You can do the right thing for the wrong reason, and you can do the wrong thing for the right reason, and you can do any permutation therein. And like, him trying to run away from his family under the guise of, well, you know, Horcruxes. Like, right reason, or like, good thing, wrong reason.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if he really did feel like he needed to go help them, and instead he was like, oh, I'm gonna stay here in my house, like, that would also be doing the wrong thing for the right. Anyway, like, there were a lot of ways that this situation could have played out, but like, I've personally been in the situation where I've been like, okay, I really don't want to do something. How can I get out of it? And I have to pick like the most like noble thing that I can find that like seems like a really good like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you mow your lawn today because I'm volunteering at the soup kitchen.
I can't make family dinner, I'm curing cancer.
Right.
All of them.
Yeah. Gabrielle?
Yeah, part of me wonders if Remus kind of felt that he was putting Tonks in more danger by staying with her. Because, you know, Bellatrix was going to want Tonks dead no matter what. And at the end, Tonks was with a werewolf and having his kid. Yeah, you can see how that would be kind of a dangerous situation. So maybe Lupin thought running away would make her less of a target.
Well, also, like, Lupin would have been a big help in bringing down Voldemort, and if you want a good world for your son to grow up in, you try to bring down Voldemort. Like, I don't know, it seems like good reason to me. But Harry, in his typical fashion, is like, you know, my dad would never have wanted this. Do we agree with that? Because I feel like James could have really gone either way on that.
Here's the thing, Harry's parents essentially left the order when they had him. The whole, well, I mean, part of that is the whole prophecy. This might be apples and oranges. Yeah, because Teddy was not prophesized to be the Messiah. I mean, James and Lily had a baby that is then prophesized to be the Messiah, and then Dumbledore's like, we gotta fucking hide you. So James really didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I think it's apples and oranges.
Well, would James approve of Lupin doing what he wanted to do? Like, is Harry right in his assessment of James?
Yes.
Because he's not always right in his assessment of his parents.
So I think Harry's outburst has more to do with like, I didn't get to grow up with my parents. And now you just
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
more like what he came out of, not so much the fact that my dad.
Well, it's what you need after, right?
Also, Lupin is very transparent.
Yeah.
Which is a huge problem, is that like when he says he wants to leave, everyone knows why. He's not good at
Like,
like
they don't want the family, they don't want the kid.
well, I mean, that's the thing is, I felt there was a very strong sense that he was terrified of being a parent. And it wasn't that, oh, I gotta save the trio. No, it was like, oh dear God, I don't want to be here right now.
I mean, multitasking.
I don't think it was like, oh, I don't want this kid. I think it
No,
was
I didn't mean that. I just meant like
I
fear
think it
of not commitment. What is it? Responsibility.
Yeah. I don't think it was a responsibility thing either. I think it was that he's just grown up his entire life outside of his friends who died horribly or were basically tortured. That everything that he has that's good is taken away from him. And so I think that it was sort of like, I'm not going to let this happen to my family. I like, if I accept my family, that means that they will be taken away from me.
There is a lot of truth to that. Did you study psych?
I used to study clinical study.
And so,
wait, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I so clearly remember when the book came out, reading that scene for the first time and going, holy shit, she's going there, thinking he was about to say, like, with all of this, I can't do this, like, I can't pretend that this is my life, and I'm happy with my life and this kid on the way, and then he got so close to going there, but I was literally reading it with my mouth hanging open, like, whoa, they're going to actually say it, and then it was kind of, oh, here's my excuse, and yeah, I agree, like, no, we don't buy it.
I mean, instead of how Prince is like, no, I'm too old for you, I'm too poor for you, I'm too gay for you. That was the next one coming. But so when Harry tries throwing James in Lupin's face, that's sort of their relationship because Lupin throws James in Harry's face a lot. Yeah. That's sort of his MO. So thoughts on that?
They both idealize
In different ways, in different angles, actually. Sirius and Lupin both pattern James on top of Harry, but in two completely different ways. And it is completely unfair to Harry. But also you have both of them are so damaged that and actually Harry, as damaged as Harry is actually in better shape than most people in the book series. So yeah, you have these two broken men, like trying to.
They just want their best friend back.
Yeah, I mean, but he's a kid.
This is a lot for kids.
Yeah. So
this brings us back to Women's Month, I guess. I thought it was really interesting, like, through most of the series, that, oh, you're just like your dad, oh, you look just like your dad, blah, 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 you're just like James. Like, no, it turns out, no, you're just like your mom here.
Yeah.
You look like your dad, but you are your mom at heart. And that's, I guess, you know,
I guess it's part of the whole perception thing we've been discussing, that, like, Lupin knows how to, like, get under Harry's skin. But he does it much better than Sirius, because when Sirius is like, oh, you're less like your father than you think, Harry's like, well, that was kind of a dick thing to say. Whereas, like, Lupin, like, he goes for it. Like, in Prisoner of Azkaban, when he's like, wow, Harry, I would have thought when you hear when Dementors approach, you would have had more of an effect on you. It seems a poor way to repay your parents' sacrifice, gambling away their lives on a bag of magic tricks. Like,
it's so horrible.
That is below the belt.
At that moment, I almost thought that Lupin might have been Jewish.
Yeah.
Like,
that's better than dumb than anyone could ever guilt you.
Either that or he simply has a Latin side to him.
No, but I'm sorry, this is uniquely the kind of thing a Jewish mother would use.
Yeah.
Go ahead, doesn't matter.
Okay,
If I
so
suffer.
now moving on to the next one.
Why do we think Peter joined Voldemort?
That's a good question.
Why do we think
Students
Peter
discuss
joined
that a
Voldemort?
lot.
Yes. I think he was more ambitious. Like, I think he wanted to climb and he knew he couldn't do that because he had kind of he had an established role in the group that he was in, and even though it was kind of like a somewhat cushy place to be, he was never going to, like, be seen as anything, like, he was always the bottom of the pecking order there, and I think he thought he could climb higher up under Voldemort.
Caleb?
I think it also, I agree with that, but I also think that another way to potentially look at it is that he, you know, we can call him meek, we can call him weak, we can call him whatever we wanted to. Self-esteem was not something that he had in large supply. And if you are a person with low self-esteem or with anxiety or with, you know, whatever kind of other thing, like, even if you're in this cushy position, even if you have this group of friends, there's constantly something in you that's, I'm going to lose this. This is going to go away. They're going to get sick of me. They're going to decide they don't want me anymore. They're going to not need me anymore, and this is all going to go
Imposter
away.
syndrome.
Exactly. And so I think that part of the reason why he could have jumped to Voldemort as well is because he'd already in some way convinced himself, this isn't going to last forever. I need to find the next thing. I need to have it out. I need to have a safety net, and Voldemort gave him that.
Sorry, I forgot your name. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. No one knows it. It's Molly. Sorry. I just think that Peter's a coward. I think he knew that he's defending the Messiah of the Wizarding world, and he knew that Voldemort was going to come after them, and he just looked out for his own neck first. He just didn't have the balls to.
Also that.
Was it was Kristen?
No, it was just Chris. Oh,
yeah. I really think that Peter is just, he really desires respect, and he really desires power, because he just kind of feels like everyone kind of looks down on him, and he really does feel that way, that he's not a very powerful person. People who are in that position are always looking for, you know, people who seem powerful. That's like people, you know, like they want to have a gun, you know, like it's just and you know, I think fear is probably a big factor for him in joining Voldemort, just because he's, you know,
I mean, it's fine.
yeah. Those are just my ideas.
Gabriella, after Gabriella is, well, hold on. We're going to have to reset because we had a list. Yes. And then Sonia, and then Pablo, and then Alicia. Sorry, I know that order wasn't exact. I apologize.
Yeah, I think Peter's also, as the Gorbated, is self-preservation. I think it is, because he hangs around with the Marauders because since they protect him from the other bullies, or anyone who might pick on him, and they're the popular crowd. Then he hangs out with Voldemort because he doesn't want to be killed. So go where the power is, go to Voldemort. And the same reason he hides out as Scabbers. He's like, wait till Voldemort gets strength, then I'll join his side. And he's like, what's best, like self-preservation, what's best for me.
Okay, who is next? I'm sorry. Sonia?
So I'm not defending Peter at all. I just want to say that. But
oh my God, she loves
Peter. But I think this is the most powerful wizard of all time. I think it's really easy to say, well, oh, he should have done this, he should have done that, you know, whatever. But it's like, you know, if Hitler at the height of his power came to you and said, do this for me, how many of us would be like, no, absolutely not. I have my morals. I have all of this. It's easy. And it's just sort of but it's also kind of like people in general do what they think they need to do to survive. And I think that it's probably not a difficult scenario to imagine that he thought that, well, if this happens, other things will be okay or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, obviously what he did was terrible. No doubt about that. But that's why I said that's why I said that I think he had the hardest life, because first of all he had to live with his decision, and he had to live with it every day, and he had to live with every day in terror.
It's important to understand motive without removing responsibility.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Well, it's the other, but
Alyosha and Pablo. Oh, okay, great. What? Oh, I'm so sorry. You're like sixth.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think Peter, like, he was drawn to the power, and I think I hate to bring up Mean Girls, but like
no, actually, strangely enough, comes up a lot.
I feel like he needs that group dynamic. So like, I mean, like that's why he was part of the like he needed to be part of the group, and like I think he feels that safety net of being part of something, and because he was always part of that, like he was always looking for like the next person to protect him, or like to feel safe with, or like to follow, or someone to be like their lackey or something. So I think that's why he found Voldemort, and when Voldemort was asking him to help out, like, oh, okay, it's like this person is offering me like a safe place, or like protection.
He's crushing
Yeah, so he took the shortcut, I think, and he didn't think it all the way through.
No, that he didn't do.
So he always wanted the power, and Sonia? Yeah, you said how if Hitler would come to one of us and ask us for something, which is a really harsh example, but I mean,
isn't that who she means?
He always wanted the power, and he didn't. For some reason, he didn't know how to really fight for it in the real and honest and good world. So he took the shortcut and
paid for it.
Did that, but so I'm just saying that I think Peter Pettigrew's story is really sad because because he just never thought that he could do it on his own in the real world. And I don't think that he's all bad. So I don't think the only reason why he did it is to save his own skin, because he was friends with these people, and those people they saw something in him for almost a decade, and they were friends with him for a very long time, and they couldn't, like, this deep connection could not have been there had he been like on the inside as like just rotten, and so he wasn't as bad as Voldemort himself. So there was something good about him.
I'm sorry, can you look at me? She doesn't see me. Alina. No, Marlena, it's not Marlena.
Sorry, I know, I said never mind.
Oh, okay. So, Ignacio had a answer.
Alright, so, I kind of agree with whatever everyone said.
Brittany's
But
last
actually,
person.
other stuff is, Pettigrew's mom is one of the characters we know is still alive, because like, the rest of the people has parents, and all are dead, because they are. So he's like, yes, I belong to this group. This is the group that's going to be killed by this guy who has the power to do it. And I'm like, I'm going to still be here. Or he's going to kill me and whoever is on my back. So he was like, alright, I got this. And maybe this way everything's going to end, but actually it was worse.
Yeah. Brittany, and then we're going to call the round.
Well, I think the other thing is, it's like you kind of have to live, not even like you think imagine his role in the friend group, like that never feels good, being the person who, like, he doesn't quite fit in, but he doesn't have anywhere else to go through. So I think the Marauders also played a big role in screwing up Peter Pettigrew, especially if you compare, because I feel like the best comparison for the books generation for Peter is Neville. I think Neville could have gone in the same direction, but Harry, Ron, and Hermione were better friends, and they never like they never incorporated him fully into the group, but they treated him with like respect. They weren't. I feel like you can even see in those little scenes, like they were always shitting on him, and they were making him feel. And it's like, so to have your friends be also your bullies, I think is pretty damaging. And so trying to find somewhere else where he would be fully accepted is understandable.
Okay, let's draw the raffle. Okay. So once again, I want to thank Marlena for making the scarf keychain, and unfortunately Courtney's not here today, but I want to thank her for the adorable.
She'll
painting.
take orders for if anyone's interested and like
Oh, cool.
wants
She
her
did
own
not tell me
character.
that.
She'll totally
Also,
do orders.
we're not actually done with the discussion. After the raffle, we're still going on for another half hour. All right.
Oh my god.
All right.
I'll be here all night.
Everyone's together.
Time for the raffle.
Alright.
Let's do this.
Alright. Alright. Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. This is awesome.
Pick mine.
Okay. Wow, you should gamble more.
I think it's because I bought the first ticket, so you guys, sorry.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You think you should come back here with us with us?
All right. So.
Maybe your new friend can give you the price.
So, piggybacking off of what Sonia said.
Guys, bring it back.
We're talking about me now.
Yeah. What do we think is Pettigrew's biggest regret?
Telling Voldemort.
Listen, I led a full life. I sold out my friends to Voldemort, and then I brought Voldemort back to life, and
I could have killed Harry.
Like, I've had a full life. So, what's the biggest regret?
I can tell you what it isn't, and it's not killing Harry.
Sleeping on Percy's bed.
Maybe not going full colors from the beginning and going Slytherin instead of.
That is a bad stereotype. Oh my god!
According to Pottermore, Pettigrew was a hat stall who was Gryffindor and Slytherin.
No, that's what she's referring to. Yeah.
I don't consider anything on Pottermore canon.
I mean, it's apocrypha. We use it to inform. Not yeah. Because I mean, I think his biggest regret might be resurrecting Voldemort.
Yeah. Because he seemed really enjoyed about that one, though.
Yeah.
He was prepared for that moment.
I mean, I feel like his life as a rat was pretty good.
I mean,
Molly, you the cookie.
Well, he was.
No, I'm just asking the question.
Oh no, he 100% would not have tried to resurrect Voldemort if he had any other option.
I guess after, what, 20 years? He was more than 20 years ago, right?
12.
12.
Well, to be fair, if you could be a healthy you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I guess if I
would.
slept most of the day.
That's because you like.
Yeah.
If I could be my dog, I would.
But like, food for thought, maybe his years as a rat were the best years of his life.
I regret not saying rat.
When I was here, when he's a rat by far. Are you kidding? Ron loves him so much. Yeah. And that's that's just such an unconditional love that he's never had before. He can fight him and
Well, I love how his mother, he did his mother loving him.